What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I'm joined by my good friend Sway, and we are back for the third annual Podcast Now Game Awards. Of course, man, I don't even know. I mean, you and me did the Save Point podcast, and we just hit it off so well. And I think I just said, "Hey, let's do a freaking award show," right? And then off we were. And the show's gotten bigger and better as the years have gone on. And I really think we've got the best show, as much as I'm humanly possible, at least right now, capable of showing. Sway, welcome in, man.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Glad to see everyone so far in the comments I'm looking at right now. Love being back. Alex, can't wait to do another one with you.
It's been a while, but we really have something I think very fun for you all. We got some guest spots coming up. We got a couple trailers to show, not like game trailers, maybe one day we can do our own world premieres, and I'll work on that going into next year. But for now, we want to thank all of you guys for watching live. I know this is later for the people that are like overseas. And I know I had some people saying they were going to stay up and watch. Some people saying they were just going to watch the next day. This will be, of course, like a video on demand, as they would say. So welcome in if you're watching live. Welcome in if you're watching tomorrow or whatever it may be. And yeah, well, I think we got a big show. We got, to be honest with you, I don't even know how many awards we have to give. So let's just start. We'll start with the trailer, and then Sway and I will go back and forth. We'll go through our nominations. We'll go through our winners, give some, brief explanation. Well, you know what? I wanted to say this. I kind of rehearsed this in my head and then forgot. This is really, I think both of us are coming at this with the same idea. This is about celebration, right? Celebrating 100%. Games. Jeff Keighley is a legend, I think, and he's made mistakes, of course, but Game Awards can sometimes be about, as we saw with Expedition, right? Just sweeping, winning like all of them. And I think we work really hard, Sway and I, to come up with different kinds of categories so we can give different kinds of winners. You know what I mean? Kind of pass the love around, because it really has been, I think, an amazing year of games, right? Just from top to bottom. So Sway, is there anything you would like to say before we get going?
Yes, to just piggyback off of that, like celebrating games, and that doesn't mean like just always selecting the winners, always selecting the stereotypical nominees for the choices. Like there's very vast genres in gaming, such as VR, such as mobile, such as just different ways to play games, different types of games, and even games in the, I would say, like traditional sense of how we look at them. Games that never get talked about, games that maybe didn't get as much love as we thought they would, or maybe should have. And it's just about celebrating them, like making people aware. It may not have been the best game, maybe it was the best game, but it might have been a game you didn't know about, and you learn about it through us. You play it, and maybe it was the best game for you. That's what we're here to do. Celebrate everything, man.
And we balanced each other well. Sway came in swinging with the VR stuff, I gotta say. I think last year you came a little harder. I forget, but
I was definitely a lot harder. It was a lot easier for it.
All right. So without further ado, let's get going.
Be quite the busy man, Captain.
You've all probably heard some version of what happened. So, let's get to work.
Nothing a little bit of teamwork can't fix, right, Patrick?
I'm getting dizzy with all this swapping.
It was about the family.
If you find this video, it's because I'm dead.
Okay. Well, there you have it.
That was epic.
Thank you. I don't know why, at least on my screen. Are we popping up? There we go. There we go.
There we go.
We got like eliminated. That was odd. All right. Well, without further ado, that took a lot of work. I got to be honest with you. So that was that. And now we're going to start the annual slideshow. We're going to start with Sway. And we're going to kind of snake it like we did last year. Although this time I really double checked. I tried to make sure that, if you start one, then I start the next one. I don't think I messed up, but there's like 30 categories. So you want to take this one?
Yes, best expansion. So my list was Elden Ring, Destiny 2, The Edge of Fate, Lies of P, Overture release, Chained Echoes, Ashes of Elrond, and Destiny 2 Final Shape. And my winner is Lies of P. I just think it was the cleanest of all the expansions that I've played. I think that it was definitely deserving of the win. And I feel like also, while I did see praise for it this year, I felt like not enough was talked about it, specifically, especially with how well Liza P was received when it originally came out. I think that this was one that did not get the love I felt it should have gotten. So here I am.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're right. It was the one that, with like exactly what you said, with how big it was at the time, how everybody loved it, and then this comes out and it also does really well. It just kind of, I think, got buried, probably because this kind of award I don't think exists right in the general landscape of things. Oh, I forgot to say. Okay, well, number one, yes, I did make that trailer and I appreciate it. Number two, if you guys want to play along, there actually is one of these. If you noticed in the trailer, we did do a community post. So you guys, technically, maybe not all of you, but you guys voted on a winner. So you guys do have your own category. That'll be towards the end of this, which is very important. I think, the viewership matters quite a bit to us. So I think you're right before or close to when Sway and I do our game of the year. You'll have your game of the year. I will spoil it early in terms of not the winner, but it was not a competition. One game took it from you guys at home, and much like I kind of thought it would. Okay, to be honest with you, I kind of matched most of yours. I threw in Kingdom Come. I threw in, I noticed you threw in Indiana Jones, and man, I hate including things from last year, although technically Indies was this year. So we have all that. But you know what? I'm going with Elden Ring. Yeah, kind of the safe one, right? not too much to say, to be honest with you there. But it was a good year. It was a good year for it. I think it was a year that was kind of overpowered by the 25, big kind of game releases, right? But we had some good updates, and you and I like to do a bunch of different awards for like ongoing things and communities and all that stuff. So try to look at things that are still in the pop culture while also looking at what was brand new. Okay, so best setting, and we matched some of these, you and I, but I did Clair Obscur, Death Stranding, Ghost of Yotei, Mafia, and Sword of the Sea. Don't know if I have too much to say about those. It was a year, with many amazing games came many amazing settings. Some, you look at Clair Obscur with just like getting you to care about the world, kind of the scope of things, and Death Stranding and Ghost, and I guess to a degree Mafia as well. But the way I did it was I did my 5, and then Sway, if you want to read your 5 out, and then we'll go over my winner.
Absolutely. My 5 was Clair Obscur, Ghost of Yotei, Lost Soul Aside, Wu-Chang Fallen Feathers, and Arcane Age VR.
There we go. And again, I think I maybe cut myself off because I'm so excited. If you guys want to play along, tell us which ones you would win, not even necessarily from our picks, but if you guys have a best setting or best whatever it might be, let me know in the chat. So it'd be a fun kind of back and forth type thing. We want to hear it from you guys as well. So mine, shockingly, was Ghost of Yotei. I went off the board. I know what Sway's winner is, but we'll get to that in a second. I think there was kind of the one that most people would go for, but I went for kind of the oddball one, the one that I just feel the direction. You talk about best game direction, right? What does that even mean? The way that this world kind of just opens up and you can explore it and you can kind of learn about it, and the diversity, in the gameplay, all these different kind of side quests and just side things to do in this game. And the world was freaking, what really kind of got it to me, at least, Sway, was like when you're on the horse and you're just riding through the flowers, right?
Yes.
Kind of like the classic, but really, man, it felt like a movie. It felt like just otherworldly, just sitting there on this screen over here, and just the opening of the game. But really, any time there was kind of like an open land and you're just kind of trotting through it, and the wind and the freaking grass or the flowers and all the colors. Death Stranding was a beautiful game, Expeditions, but this game is like unreal. You know how beautiful it was in those moments. So that's kind of the moment that sticks out to me when I'm traversing the world. That's the one that kind of sticks out, the most amongst all of them. And then we'll just jump to yours.
Yes, mine was 100% Clair Obscur. And to be honest, for me, this was one of those that I just had to begrudgingly, Clair Obscur deserved the world, 100%. And all the nominees that I had, that was literally like from everything you said, from Ghost of Yote to even, finding a lot of beauty for me personally in Lost Soul Aside, had very amazing visuals and settings. Rough around the edges for sure, but I think the settings that it did have were very gorgeous to look at. Arkin is another game that, if I truly believe that if you can do VR settings very, very well, especially if you put the time, the effort into it. And I think that is a very beautiful game to look at. But Clair Obscur was just on another level for me. I think for a lot of people, what takes it back even more is just the JRPG elements, how they made this world look within the type of game style that it is in.
Yeah.
And just for, just take out the fact that a small team made it, just look at it on the surface of comparing it with the other juggernauts out there and the other games that was in this category or just out period. It just was absolutely breathtaking. The visuals, the settings, even certain scenes, how the colors changed, how they played with it was magical. You felt like you were in that universe, and you felt like you were definitely in a different place. And it was just truly beautiful to just take in the entire game.
There you go. Okay, your best character.
Best characters. I have Luca from Mafia: The Old Country. Then I have, sorry, my list keeps resetting sometimes. Okay, here we go. So Luca from Mafia: The Old Country, Gustav from Clair Obscur, Mael from Clair Obscur, Reiner from Clair Obscur, and Investigo from Dispatch.
Okay. Now, do you want to just talk about those 5 and then we'll get into my 5?
Luca was a very if you play Mafia: The Old Country, I want to say practically from the moment he pops up in the very beginning, instantly like my favorite character in the game.
Yeah, he's got a lot of charm to him. When you put, because I read yours before I made mine, and sometimes you convinced me to do certain things, but it also reminded me how good he is. Really a great character.
Very good character. Gustav is my personal favorite character in Clair Obscur. My personal favorite one, and I enjoyed just everything that they brought to the character. Trying to speak very carefully because I know. Mael was I think she's the heart of Clair Obscur, and I think that game works as well as it does narratively, not only because of Gustav, not only because of the plot, but she is a large part of that, and I just don't see how she doesn't make anyone's list on long term or at least consideration for it.
Yeah.
Investigirl was just Investigirl was very, very much of a unique character for me. Loved what they did with her. Would love to see if Dispatch gets a second game. Okay. And then Reiner.
What a guy. This is not the only time you'll see him. We'll just say that.
What a guy.
There's a lot to him, honestly. Deep. So I took yours. Now, the Luca thing got me it got me going. I was debating. I feel like you could probably pick 3 to 4 characters from Mafia. So I just swapped a few. I did Enzo instead. Invisigal still is there. Mael is still there. I did Hinako from Silent Hill. I mean, spoilers, I wanted to give her so much, and I think the actress for her is unbelievably good. But you'll see kind of how everything shakes out. And I did Fragile, which was kind of one that I just went back, wrote my list, and thought, she really is the star, I think, of Death Stranding 2. I wanted to kind of spread it out. Didn't want too much representation of the same thing. But yeah, I mean, I think combined, I mean, we have a couple crossovers. I mean, you could easily make a top 10, top 15, best characters, and it's deep. Okay, Sway, yours is first, and there you go.
Mael, there was no other option. She was the strongest character for me personally of everything that I played this year. Like I said before, she's the heart of Claire Obscure, and I really felt like she's that character that pulls everything together.
Very good. And I don't think I went off the board much. It was tough. I was not, well, I was won over by her. Like I would echo everything you just said. She's a legendary character. I think for me, this was pretty close. Like I really, like I said, Hinako, I really wanted to give it to her, but I felt, I mean, and you said, I think as your opening line, like she really is, she's the heart and soul of this game. Like if you really like this game, she's probably some sort of push behind that, in some way. So it's pretty hard to separate. You can't really have the game without her. Guess you can't really have her without the game, but she really drives the game. And especially, and by the way, like, we're going to get into some moments is one of ours. I love that category. And so this will get into spoilers. I mean, like, because of character swaps and things that happen in Claire, I mean, she's like the through line through the whole thing. It's tough for Gustav or Verso, and and then you also play as her too, right? So like it's tough for anybody else to really take over besides her. She's she's the through line of the whole game.
Exactly. It was a beautiful thing. I love the way that they did just approach that entire game.
And you'll see a moment might come up later on here about that. Okay, my best story. I wanted to really kind of jump all over the place for this best story. It was a year, I think, of incredible stories. So Mafia, Expedition, Silent Hill, Dispatch, needed to give Dispatch a little bit of love, and Ghost of Yotei. Again, I really think you could make this list into, I mean, easily a top 10. Kingdom Come would probably, by the way, just for a note, would probably be here. I played Kingdom Come enough to have like an opinion on it, but I didn't want to like overload a lot of my nominees with a game I didn't beat yet. So you're going to notice that like games like Digimon or something like that, like it's not going to be all over the place just because I wanted to be fair, to the games that I played. Silent Hill freaking rocks, Expedition. I mean, all these games story. And Ghost of Yotei, by the way, kind of a shockingly good story because I wasn't really ready for it to be like really, really good. I still think Ghost of Tsushima's is better, but I thought it was going to be, substantially weaker. And I don't think it was. I actually think it was really, really strong. So those are my 5. And then Sway, these are yours.
So right now I have Mafia, The Old Country, Claire Obscure, Ghost Town, and then we also have Wonders Fragments VR and Death Stranding.
There you go. You want to say anything about your 3 that you kind of substituted in these far right?
3. So Fragments is pretty much a game for people that is not like aware. It's pretty much a game where it's kind of like a time traveling game where you're going back in time to kind of put fragments of reality back together. And then Ghost Town is another game that is just uniquely diverse as far as its experience within VR. You're trying to solve mysteries. You're trying to maneuver your way around like hunted elements and things of that nature. And then Death Stranding, what can I say? Like that game, Kojima knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. Absolutely love the story. It was a lot more action paced as well, like fast paced compared to the first game. Yeah. And I think for me, that was the big thing holding me back from really enjoying the first game story versus this one felt like it had a little bit more fluidity and I was much able to enjoy it much more than I was the first game.
There you go. All right. So my best story is I'm going to land on Expedition. was it really all that close? I don't really think mine was. I mean, it was an incredible story. I feel, whenever you get too into the weeds, I think actually mainly with Expedition, you're gonna have people. There's always the accusations of like, is this your first, RPG or JRPG? I just think it put together so many different things, and I mean, as we keep saying, right, so many great characters, the setting, the sound, but the way it just plays around with the story. I mean, I always go back to like it gets you invested in that world, and the world is kind of ever changing. Like it's not a static world, you know what I mean? Like say something like a Dispatch is like in LA, right? And once you kind of know what that is, that's what it is. Whereas Expedition, it's getting you into it, and then the story is playing around with, well, again, we can get into spoilers, like this kind of reality and how much you value these things that really aren't even all that real. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for it to do all of those, I mean, that plays into the setting and the characters and all that stuff, but I think just an insanely well-written story, and I think I don't really know if it was all. Mafia was an excellent story. I'll go to bat for Mafia pretty much any day, but I think this is a couple steps ahead of pretty much everything on my list. So that was mine, and then Sway, I'm pretty sure yours was exactly the same.
The exact same. For everything that you listed, from the setting, from the story. It just seemed like from the plot, they had one consistent beat of storytelling, and they were able to improve upon it and improve upon it and improve upon it. The amount of curveballs that they throw at you throughout this entire game, things that I didn't expect, things that I remember watching your review for it, and you had the same reaction as me, which is like, wow, they did something very risky. Like they did something I did not see coming. And coming from a person that watches, like I watch a lot of television, I watch a lot of shows, movies. Them making decisions like that is not necessarily lost upon me. So I'm always willing to lose a main character, but like that was really risky.
Yeah, it's easy to say it and then they do it, and then it's a little different.
Yeah, so I absolutely love it. And even outside of that twist, just where the story ends, where it begins, like you feel the loss right out the gate. You feel the tone right out the gate. I think that there's not another game this year from a narrative perspective that has moved me the way that Claire did.
That's right. And then, okay, now we take a break from our kind of promotion and like feel good energy. Now we go to some games that just did not hit with us. And so you want to walk us through. Now, I think you and me, we chose very different ones for this. So if you want to, you can explain whatever you want to explain.
Yes. So for me, I have Mind's Eye, Nintendo Welcome Tour, Captain's Blood, Lost Soul Aside, and Call of Duty. Call of Duty is self-explanatory. They did not. Now, I will say their multiplayer about the same as it always is, so I have no problem on that aspect. But the campaign, absolutely, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Welcome Tour, I think it is a mixture of this should have been packed in for free with the Switch 2. Just like Wii Sports was with the Wii. I don't think that this is a game that could have stood on its own. And if you unfortunately paid for it to play it, you were even more disappointed. Lost Soul Aside, as much as I, have followed this game, I have an appreciation for this game. My expectations were in the right place. However, you can't help but to feel like it fell short on expectation, especially, with it having that support from PlayStation. And even, after learning how the development cycle of this game turned out to, like, how it turned out to be and how it played out, it was just, I think it was kind of that thing of like Kingdom Hearts 3, where it had been a story for so long, I felt like it was almost impossible that it could have met expectations.
Right.
And then Captain's Blood, just for me personally, I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. And Mind's Eye,
What can you
it
say?
came out of nowhere. I think Mind's Eye is very impressive. It came out of nowhere. We did not expect it. And then it was this big thing. And then we learned more about it. And the more we learned about it, we're like, okay, surely you're going to push this back. No, they don't push it back. And it's either the greatest thing that came out of nowhere or the biggest scam you've ever seen.
Yeah. And much like Aplerski says, I was pretty shocked to see that Sway put Captain Blood, because we don't really follow each other's playing habits like a ton throughout the year. I didn't even know if you knew what that game was. So that one was that was a good curveball, honestly. I like your list. And I would consider, by the way, the Welcome Tour. I think that's a deeper cut that I'm happy that Sway put here, to be honest with you. It is a game. You pay for it, right? Like, it is a legit. Yeah, I agree. We don't. Here's another thing. I think the comment was kidding. By the way, we kind of have our own, and I think people know this that have watched 3 years, right? We have our own like interpretations of these things. I know skill gap was one that you came up with. You know, and I look at that differently than you do. We kind of, we interpret things. I kind of have a rule against, for myself, like flooding it with like the character. I didn't pick multiple from Claire Obscure, but Sway did. So we don't police each other. You know what I mean? We kind of just, we have different interpretations, which I like. I think it gives it a total different kind of, flow or whatever you want to say. With that being said, I did agree with you with Lost Soul aside. I think that deserved to be there. Yeah, I mean, I took some bigger risks here, some more controversial things going on. Little Nightmares 3. So, I mean, I wanted to put Mind's Eye. Like, I completely agree with Mind's Eye. It's just, again, this is one of my own interpretation rules for myself. I had to play it. That was my own benchmark, right? So I didn't play a bunch of those games. So these are 5 games I did play. I did play Inzoi for a couple of days. Actually, my wife and I, we were severely let down by that game, but I don't think that won. Lost Records is another one. Like, Lost Records is not a bad game, but the expectations for Don't Nod were so much higher. And Pirate Yakuza, actually, I would say would maybe be probably most controversial of the 5. Again, I actually think it's like, I did a ranking video that'll go up in a few days. It's in the top 20 of my games of the year, but it's still, Yakuza has a very high bar for me, and it just, it doesn't hit it. So that's kind of how I looked at the most disappointing. I think you do too, right? Your expectations versus kind of where it came. So that was my 5, all 5 that I touched this year. Okay, so Sway, you should be, that's your winner first.
Mind's Eye. Even though it spelled disaster from the very get-go, there were just things like, from some of the trailers to some of the gameplay that they were released, like in clips, even the leaked clips that got released, I did have a level of excitement, but also tempered my expectations. And I think that that's where it really won, is that I tempered my expectations and they still like shocked me on the level of letdown. When you just play this game, like, one, the story is not even remotely entertaining, good, or cohesive. 2, the game just didn't work in a lot of facets. Like, the NPCs were horrible. Like, they didn't even hardly want to shoot it. And then there were certain parts that were like more difficult than I felt like it was intended to be to get through. It was, from the whole experience, the most frustrating thing. And the only thing that I can think of is I would be even more mad if I was the one that paid for it. So, I had a friend that bought a copy. I'm saying, hey, let me shoot that over to me whenever you can. It took me about a few weeks after release. Finally got to play it, and it's something. It's something.
Yeah, I was debating going back, because I was one of the first, like, when I was looking around, like when you type Mind's Eye into YouTube, when I made my first, like, is something off with this game video, there were not a lot, like, it was like me and Luke Stevens were like the only 2 that like even raised the question. And it's not like we were like the biggest, but it was like there was only a few people like even wondering if something was off. And then just as I got closer and closer, I thought I was gonna buy it. Like, it was on my list. I was ready for it. And then I just kept watching the same trailers and thinking, something is very off here. And we weren't getting news, and like all the signs were there, But if you told somebody like 2 months before how bad it would be, I don't think they'd believe you, because it was so bad. Want to welcome, by the way, Degenerate J into the chat. You might be seeing a little bit from him later on in the show. And then mine, I did go Lost Soul aside. Pretty much what you said. It was a uphill battle. We do know, based off all those reports and stuff, what they went through, and you kind of hope that the studio is just able to kind of hold it together, right, and kind of improve going forward if they're given that chance. Yeah. It's a fine game. Like, I don't think it's necessarily bad. There's bad elements to it. The combat actually is really good. I think both of us might have put it for a different category on this, a good category. So it's not, it's not a terrible game. I don't think I had any terrible games on my 5. It's just, it was disappointing. I was hoping it would kind of beat the allegations. Many people were kind of thinking this was going to be like a mid game, and I was out there, both of us, right? We were like, well, there's some potential, it's not going to be amazing, but maybe it can be solid. And, it didn't hit that one.
No. I wanted to like it. I wanted to so bad. I wanted to like just put this game up on a higher pedestal. And there were things about it that I even think that people were too harsh on. But it was a disappointment, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll age. Like maybe 5 years from now, people will replay it and think it's better or whatever.
I think from a combat perspective, people who
combat was great, and you'll see that potentially in the show. Okay, my missing and I love this category. I think we both came up with this together years ago. Missing in action, of course. Well, you can, I guess, interpret it however you want, but of course, games that should be around and are not. So I like mine: KOTOR, Kingdom Hearts 4, Wolf Among Us 2, BioShock 4, I guess you would call it, and then Persona 6. In particular, this list could be expanded. Sadly, I think Sway's got a couple different ones versus me. What can you say about any of these jokes of a game that are here? Here's the thing. I think we both always think this, right? The year that these games come out, we would like to put these games on categories, right? These are all games that should be nominated for something positive the year that they release. It's just they have to freaking show themselves. So I know Beyond Good and Evil. These were just, these ones really stood out to me in a big, big way. I really could have given this award 5 different times. And that's why I think the bottom 2 swapped out for you.
Yes. So I have Kingdom Hearts, KOTOR, Wolf Among Us, Star Wars Eclipse, and Blade.
We just got an update for Blade. If you saw the really quick news story that they said it's good or they're working on it, so
they're working on it, and I would like to even with that, I'm like, I would like to see just something more from Blade, man. Like just anything, kind of like always seems like do something. That's kind of how I am. Is like I know they're like early in development, but I'm like just give me something.
Yeah,
and then and I say that because comparing it to Star Wars Eclipse or KOTOR, or even the new announced Fate of the Republic, I think it was.
Yeah, Fate of the Republic. Yeah.
There wasn't much, but there was something more. And Blade did give us like an opening announcement trailer. They did do that. But I felt like we still don't know, like, as far as like the gravity of what this game is going to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like at least with the other games in like my suggestions, we roughly, even if we haven't seen gameplay, we roughly kind of have an idea of how they're going to be.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, I feel like it's history repeating itself a little bit. They need to, more than anyone, show something, for the simple fact that Kingdom Hearts 3, I felt like would have been looked upon way more fondly here if it was not as long of a process and secretive of a process. KOTOR, it's a myth. And Wolf Among Us, I mean, we were so close, it felt like, at one point. We were so close. We were on the cusp.
Well, we had literally the makers of Dispatch the second time working on it too, and then they let that go as well. But let me tell you, let me double down on one of those 5 that you just said, because it might shock you. You might think that I picked Wolf Among Us 2. You'd actually be wrong. Pick Kingdom Hearts 4. I think I set it up all year where you would think, well, Alex is just, well, and here's the thing, I've had it up to here with Wolf Among Us, right? Like I'm so done it doesn't even deserve a bad award. This is a bad award. You don't want to win this, right? Wolf Among Us doesn't deserve this, right? Kingdom Hearts does, in my opinion. Kingdom Hearts is making me go insane, and that's the criteria, I think, for winning something like this. So yeah, I wanted to make people believe it was Wolf. Okay, and there's yours.
Yep, Star Wars Eclipse. For me personally, Kingdom Hearts should have won for me.
Yeah.
This game, I don't think I've heard anything about it since the trailer.
Yeah, I don't think they've said a single word.
No, not a single word. And even then, like I had mentioned it to a few friends of mine. I'm like, you remember Star Wars Eclipse? I'm like, what's Star Wars Eclipse? I'm like, that.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. That like everybody knows of KOTOR. There's been plenty of stories, leaks of KOTOR. Very few like actual statements from the team. And when they are, like it's one of those things where it's like at least it's still being worked on. And I feel like everything else here has a story. This game literally just disappeared.
Yeah.
Right along with Kingdom Hearts. I think both of them are guilty of the
Kingdom
same
Hearts, we got pictures at least this year, but that's not good enough for me.
Not nearly.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest thing for me is this game just completely fell off the face of the earth. And I would love to see in the comments, did you all remember this game existed?
That's right. All right. I think that's the only negative. Yeah. This is my favorite category. Sway gets to lead it. Best moment.
Best moment. So I have Claire Obscure, Gustav's Fate, Mafia the Old Country, Enzo Betrayal, Deadpool VR. This is the one where I had to go back and read. There we go.
I think Johnny Blaze.
Yep. Johnny Blaze. Thank you. The casino battle with Johnny Blaze, Ghost of Yote, The Fortress Invasion, and Split Fiction, The Final Showdown.
Got any? We know the winner. Both of us know the winner.
So Enzo's Betrayal. While I could see it coming and it built up to it, it's one of those things where it's like predictability isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I felt like you didn't know how it was going to happen. You didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew once Enzo fell in love with a certain character, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And, then you figured, they're starting to have a family, and that really isn't going to go over well.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You really wanted it to, though. Like, you really... Yes. Like they had that belief in you where it's like, please just let them get away with this. And then that's, I think, what hurt the most.
Yes. And who does it? Like who literally ends up being the killing blow was even more like, that was you of all people I did not expect. But
yeah, that's right.
Deadpool and Johnny Blaze, that was a very fun mission. Just because of I didn't expect to see him there. The entire casino mission was very fun. Deadpool VR, if you have not played it, go look it up, just watch it. There's very cool, fun moments. It is very fun to play. Highly recommended. Claire Obscure, I'm going to be very minimal on that right now because we're going to have a lot to say. But and Ghost of Yote was honestly up for my second, my runner-up, I would say. I'll just
gave
that away, but
that's okay.
Yeah, it was a runner-up. I enjoyed that portion of the game. Very action-packed. Things picked up, it felt like, for me, very much so. Intense moments. Loved it.
All right. Well, first I want to thank out the super chat. Rise of Hydra. That was definitely inconsiderate. I had a 10. I wrote a lot of these down, and I would just I don't want to give away certain categories we haven't done yet, but missing in action, I wrote 7 games, and then I would we had to get it to 5. So I would write a bunch. Or best setting, I think I wrote 10 games, and then I whittled it down. I starred the ones that I want. So some of these were pretty. I don't know about you, Sway, but some of these were really trying to look. Combat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wrote 11 different games for combat. And we had to get it to 5. So like some of these were legitimately hard, and that's why I want to do something like you and I do, because it's like you can celebrate a lot of different games, that can kind of get shown in these different categories. But thank you for the super chat, by the way. Okay, so I just swapped a couple out. I actually broke my own rule. I'm such a hypocrite. I picked 2 from Claris Gear. I picked the ending and kind of Act 1, let's say, end of Act 1. I kind of went fishing for the dispatch one. Actually, Jay had mentioned the beginning of episode 4 is definitely something that you could say for dispatch. I think the blonde blazer, I'm thinking, the bar saving Robert. That's an incredible scene. I put a certain character. Do I want to spoil? I don't know if I need to spoil the ending of Death Stranding 2 for this purpose, but the entire final 20 minutes, I would say, this is a specific frame, but I really do think I'm not actually as big of a fan of Death Stranding 2 story as other people. I think it's weaker than Death Stranding 1, mainly because I called the big twist in the game months before, but the last 20 minutes with death, with what actually happens with a certain character, it was really, really good. So that one kind of encapsulates the whole thing. And I matched you on Split Fiction. My dear God, I don't think I gave it. Well, yeah, I've never played something like that ever. No. And so that deserves a little bit of highlight, just all on its own. It's such, if you haven't played Split Fiction, find somebody and get to that final level, because it's really something very, and here's the thing with that, just a quick story. I heard about that without seeing it. Everybody was saying, oh my God, the final mission of Split Fiction is something you've never played. And, there's a lot of internet exaggeration, right? But that's really one of the first times that I saw something be talked about so highly. And I thought, I can't really be that good. And I hadn't played it yet. Sometimes you'll hear about it when I already had played it. And my wife and I, we made it to that. And I was thinking in my head, okay, well, what's going to be so special? They've never done something like this before. What does that even mean? Trust me when I say you can know it's special and you've never seen anything like it. It's still going to be crazier than you think it. I really believe that.
It didn't. I had the opposite experience.
Okay.
I had heard people praise the entire game.
Yeah.
I didn't really see anything about a specific mission, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
When I went into it and I played that last mission, I was breathtaking, to the point where I would say, if this game existed in any other year, I would find it hard to believe that I picked anything over this.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. Which ending of Expedition? I would say, well, let me just say the show, for me, it was kind of also oh, I get to make a choice here. Does that make sense? I didn't really think Expedition was going to let me decide 2 endings, if that makes sense. It didn't give me, because I don't think at any other point you do something like that. You know what I mean? Where the fate of the end of the game is on you. So I would say in the moment, just making the choice. If I would say Mael's version is definitely, oh my Lord, it's twisted. Yeah, but I mean, no, honestly, this year is freaking stacked, and go play Split Fiction is the final thing I'd say. Okay, Sway, you're winner.
Okay, Gustav's fate. That was the moment where I was like, anything can and will happen in this game. That was the moment that woke me up. Even when it happens initially, right before you go into the final battle with him, he gets severely injured, and I'm just like, oh, okay, they're about to let me do a battle with him. Okay, all right, we're good. Yeah. All right, I'm about to take this guy out. As I'm playing, I'm doing hardly any damage to this guy. Yeah. I'm like, this is, and it was really for me personally, I can't speak for anybody else, but for me personally, I appreciated the way they went about it, because as I was playing, I was like, okay, maybe I have a chance here. To the point where I restarted the mission because I thought I was doing something wrong. I thought it was just maybe I can beat him and I'm not using my resources correctly.
Right.
No, the fate is sealed and you're processing it, and oh my God, it was just.
Well, it does it both ways, right? I think that's what makes it so special, is the cutscene whiplashes you. and you're like, I didn't even think it happened. Like when it happened, I thought, no, that was a flat. That's like some sort of weird alternate thing that's going on. And then, like you said, then it does it through gameplay next, right? It says, okay, you have a chance. Like this is something classic in a game. You get injured, but now you're going to go into the fight. And then you quickly realize through gameplay, you're also screwed. So it actually did it cinematically and then also through its gameplay. It's nuts.
It was. And even the visual, going back to like the setting, just everything just going black. And you see that gold dagger just go straight through. And I'm just like, the jaws just dropped. And I'm Mael that's trapped in a bubble. Like I'm feeling what she's feeling. So like, and I'm just like, oh, surely he's not gonna die, right? And then like for those who come after. So
that's right. I try to get the saying in it, and mine's the exact same. I feel like I doubled down on Sway, so we don't need to go more into it. But yeah, legendary. A lot of really great moments. I think this is where maybe a Kingdom Come could have fit in if I actually played, like if I knew the ending. Like I actually don't know what happens, like the end of that story. So I'm sure there's some good moments we kind of skipped on. Okay, best combat. I really enjoyed this one. So I think this is mine. Expedition 33, Doom the Dark Ages, Ninja Gaiden 4, Ghost of Yotei, and then Skate Story. Skate Story, that's hard to say for as fast as I talk. That one was kind of a underdog, like Trojan horse type one, where it came in very late. I freaking love that gameplay. Not too much to say. I mean, some really good games here. Ninja Gaiden kind of just like peak returning, right? Yotei, I think, doubles down on Tsushima, but I actually think it's kind of better. It's more challenging for sure. So I really enjoyed that combat. Like I said, Skate Story freaking rocks. Doom is still Doom. It's my weakest of the 3 Doom games, but it's still Doom, and it's still an elite contender on this list. And then Expedition is a turn-based combat that's insanely good. Yeah, I think this is where I've seen a lot of Ghost of Yotei talk in this one. You might be disappointed, but this one's definitely where Ghost could have won. Sway, you're up.
Okay, so for me, I got Clair Obscur. I have Lost Soul Aside. I have Ninja Gaiden. I got Deadpool VR. And I actually threw in a little bit of Battlefield 6. Threw in a little bit of multiplayer there. I think it does take skill, at least on Battlefield. Call of Duty, I feel like not so much. With Battlefield, you have to work as a team. You have to know how to use everything in your disposal. You know how to play tactically, or else you will get mopped the floor with every time you walk out there. Yeah. So Deadpool, very fun combat. And honestly, the skill gap, the best thing I can say for best combat, I would say, not skill gap, is that it is extremely fun and rhythm-based. And if you've ever played a rhythm-based combat game, it is extremely satisfying. It's almost like how Arkham Shadows was for me last year, where it was like if you played an Arkham game, there's just a certain rhythm, whether you know it or not. And once you have everything down and it clicks. Ninja Gaiden gives me my Devil May Cry fix. We all know how I feel about that. So Lost Soul Aside also kind of gets there. Very just beautiful combat. If there's one thing about Lost Soul Aside that shines, it is the combat. And Clair Obscur, as a lifelong turn-based player, and I very much expect to see Fire Emblem rear its head even more as we get closer.
That's right. I'm pumped.
I was very shocked, actually, how good the turn-based was in Clair Obscur. Even down to the fact that there's elements in it where you can actually be reactionary as far as like timing the button and things like that. It's not just like you make your move and they do the rest for you. You have an option to kind of feel like your inputs matter in the game. And how fluid that works was just absolutely incredible for me.
And you kind of have to get into, like, that's a game that forces its rhythm on. Like if you are not perfect dodging and blocking, it's going to be a rough. I don't even know if it's possible to beat Clair Obscur with that. Okay, you know what? I think I forgot what I gave it to, and I'm glad I gave it to Ghost of Yotei because I thought I was going to let them down. I was looking at it, and I thought, wait a second, I'm pretty sure I picked Ghost. So yeah, incredible, really incredible. I thought swapping the different stances that was in Ghost of Tsushima for the different weapons, I thought that was going to take kind of a downgrade or could be a downgrade situation. Absolutely not. Really, it is such a fun game. Gives me the same kind of vibes as Tsushima, where you can kind of play Ghost of Yotei and like forever just like ride on your horse. That's like one way of playing it, like endlessly. And then you could also just like endlessly fight. I feel I'm a really big defender of the multiplayer, the Legends stuff, because I just feel like the combat it's simple, but it's like highly addicting and a little just complex enough that you have to pay attention to it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's why I think Legends stands out to me, because I can play like a 30-hour online session of Tsushima and just be, you're doing the same strikes, but there's just something like highly addicting about it. So yeah, I'm glad I remembered to put this as my winner. And yours, I honestly forget what yours is. Oh, there we go.
Yes, Ninja Gaiden 4.
It deserves it too, by the way. It really is a legend returning. It's so good.
It is. It's elements of just like all of the different hack and slash games that have come out over the years, past and new, and you can kind of see how they innovated on their own approach to hack and slash. They even took a little bit, I'm glad not much, but a little bit of Souls elements from it as well, as far as inspiration goes. And it was just very good to just have a fluent hack and slash game where you can just, to your heart's contempt, put combos together, and how well you do or how difficult something is literally based off of your understanding of how to put all of that together.
Yep. It kind of builds in a very smart way as the game goes.
Yes.
Okay. This is yours. Best visual. So it's not necessarily about, right, like how amazing it looks, photorealistic, right? It's more about art, colors, different stuff like that for us.
Exactly. And for me, again, Clair Obscur, very, very, very beautiful game. I don't think anybody none of us is arguing it. It is absolutely amazing. Even if you take out photorealism, everything in that game looks 100.
Well, it kind of looks just like a little bit off. You know what I mean? Like it's not super photorealistic in the same way Death Stranding 2. Like there's something a little gamey about, you know what I mean? Like it's trying to be real, and then it just moves it just a touch, or it's not real. It feels a little off, but like
kind of
really,
like Final Fantasy, that realism, like it's like realism, but it's like it wants you to remember it's a game.
Right. Yep. That's right.
And then you got Deadpool VR, and I would put Deadpool VR and Dispatch kind of in that same realm of these are very like specific types of art styles.
Yeah.
And while both of those two are different, they both pop. Yeah. And when you play them as you're watching any sort of cutscene go down, you're just admiring like these are two very good art styles at play. Hollow Knight, you look at that game, colors pop, designs pop, everything about it is just beautiful. If you play it on an OLED screen, you're gonna appreciate it even more. And then Wander's Fragments of Fate. If you have a VR, go play it. Go play it. You're living in that world. It's like you're there. Again, for the same reasons I would say Hollow Knight pops, that pops equally as well.
Yeah. Sway brings that representation. Like he really, if you don't know any VR stuff, like from my channel and stuff, and I know I had people last year say like they got into a couple of VR games from seeing how loaded your lists were. So it brings a different kind of flavor that I like to the show here. So funny enough, I just swapped the VR game. So I'm kind of anti. I guess I'm evil. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, you said it, like Hollow Knight pop. Like I like the word pop. That's a really, you want to talk about things that pop though? Okay, colors and just, so Hollow Knight does. I would say Sword of the Sea though. Holy dear G. So how passionate you are about some of these VR games, I would be about Sword of the Sea. Play that game, please. So unbelievably good. Not to spoil different awards or nominees, but Sword of the Sea freaking rocks. It looks, that is colors of sand and water as represented by that picture there, just pops so unbelievably well. And it's hard to like get the look of Death Stranding like out of my mind, like I mentioned with, I mean, Ghost of Yotei could have been here, by the way. Mafia, the Old Country, and those games more kind of photorealistic. And Death Stranding 2, I just feel probably was the best of those three. Like, you think about walking, even the beginning, right, when there's the earthquake and you're on top of the hill. Oh my God, like how good it looks is just, and there's some good color popping type situations that go on there. Yeah, so, and I agree with what you said. Expedition, like we mentioned, kind of just a little off, but in a good way. Dispatch, the Telltale styles of the past. Okay, so I believe you're first.
Hollow Knight. There was nothing more beautiful to me than this game. Playing it was just amazing to look at, to the point where as you're side scrolling, you're just kind of like, you get lost in it a little bit. Sometimes you may mess up because you're just looking at it, admiring things. That was me. So I felt like this game, and again, this year I felt like there were a lot of games that probably neither one of us listed that we could have put here. I think that this was a year of very beautiful artistic takes on video games. Here, but Hollow Knights was it.
Well, there you go. You popped out, then you popped in. I was counting how many ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I wrote, oh Jesus, I think I wrote like 12 different games for this category, by the way. So yeah, like you said, I mean, you could really swap in pretty much anything.
Yep.
So I think Aplersky at least will be pretty happy about that one. This was kind of obvious to me from the beginning. I think I had to. As soon as I played Sword of the Sea, I said this has to win some awards at my award show. So unfreaking real. I mean, I had Silent Hill F actually was kind of like out of the top 5. Skate Stories out of the top 5. Yeah, just games that do just something a little bit different. You know, you don't have a lot of games that look like Sword of the Sea. So I just wanted to give it a little representation there. Amazing. Okay, best soundtrack. This is another one that there's a lot of good music this year. So Expedition, Death Stranding, Hollow Knight, Sword of the Sea, Skate Story. Okay, I think I remember which one I picked. So I want to highlight the one I didn't pick really fast. Skate Story not only is, I do genuinely believe, one of my favorite games of the year and one of the better games of the year. If you want a soundtrack, it works. Now, okay, here's the deal. Soundtracks to me with games, in order to like apply and be considered really, really good for me, has to kind of balance the game, right? It has to like work with the game. Kingdom Hearts, other examples are of the past. Skate Story works so well with the game. Okay, you play Skate Story when the music is just so insane, and by insane I mean sometimes loud and kind of in your face. It works so well. With that being said, if you don't want to play Skate Story, I at least would recommend listening to that soundtrack, because it's just, I don't think you've heard a soundtrack at least that mixes as well with the gameplay. You know, Skate Story is up there. So just wanted to highlight that, because that didn't win. It was gonna win before I thought of my other one, but yeah, that was mine. And then here's yours.
For me, I have Clair Obscur, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Mario Kart World, Deadpool VR, Hollow Knight, Silksong. And I think for me, I'll just like you, I'll highlight Hollow Knight for me. Love the soundtrack
so
there. Absolutely. Like that was the runner-up for me. Other ones, Deadpool VR has again, just the rhythm base. Like it's part of that is that soundtrack that it has. It's catchy. It's just fun all the way out, and I think that there's some very unique sounds in there that I really enjoyed. Nintendo does an amazing job, I think, across the board at mostly any soundtrack it attempts to do.
Yeah.
And Donkey Kong, I like more than Mario for sure, but Mario Kart World also had some amazing beats of music there. And Clair Obscur, I mean, like I feel like that was one where when it came out, ironically, like other than the combat, the next thing that everybody was talking about was that soundtrack.
Yeah,
there was a lot of YouTube videos that to this day I'm like watching, and they're using one of the songs as the background.
Yeah. I will say, just throwing for Hollow Knight, I watched like videos. I was watching a video of something, and it was a person playing Hollow Knight, and you could hear just the background music, and it got my wife like halfway across the room. She like perked up, and she's like, "What game is that?" Like it just. And I only bring up that story just because it kind of has this almost magical, like you hear it and you're immediately. I think that also is a sign, right, of a good soundtrack. It just kind of perks your ears up and says, "Oh, what game does that belong to?" You know what I mean? Like you said, though, I think Nintendo. I don't know if I even told you. I went back. I finally played Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Odyssey. So speaking of, I agree with you. I think it's almost underrated though, because Nintendo games are so kind of separate. I feel like, but Nintendo pretty much every time, like the soundtracks are 10 out of 10 type things.
The year Mario Odyssey came out, if we would have done this show back then, Mario Odyssey was definitely winning because the main song for that game was stuck in my head for like a year and a half.
We can always go backwards, but yeah.
I love that.
All right. So mine first. That might be shocking. Because I really was debating this in Skate Story, and it really went down to the wire. And by wire, I mean when I was making these, I had to make a decision to put that as my picture, so I did it. I just feel Skate Story works so well. I just feel the emotion that this game gives off when the soundtrack is matching whatever kind of tone the game is trying to make you feel. I kind of think in my head kind of towards the ending, just some of like where the camera almost pulls back and you get the whole kind of atmosphere. You see all the colors. You're in whatever mood, if it's supposed to be a tranquil thing or whatever, and then the music is playing and it hits so hard. I will say it's not as consistent. Skate Story is like kind of 5 hours of like nonstop in your face. This is just, they kind of pick their moments. So you really could swap these. But I feel good. I mean, if this is a way of highlighting Sword of the Sea's got the best visuals and soundtrack to me, then I did my job. You know what I mean? I pushed that. And there's yours.
For me, it was Clear Obscure. Again, this soundtrack is very, very good. Outside of just hearing it on YouTube videos to this day. I actually play it in my own spare time. So it is a very, very, very catchy theme. Sometimes I find myself humming it. Sometimes I'm working and I'm just humming some things. And it's just I feel like it set the mood in every pacing of the game. Whether if it was like combat, you felt like you were in a soundtrack that made you feel rhythm based to do said combat. If you were in cutscenes or stories, or even just walking around, just navigating through every map that they had in the game, it felt like at every sense the score set the tone. And I felt like it was very beautiful all the way through. And even if you listen to this soundtrack without playing the game, it is equally as beautiful, equally as special.
Yeah. Okay, player's choice. I think this is a good time for me to slide this one in. So this was, and I know I had people every year, Sway, I have people so mad at me. Why wasn't this game? Firstly, I just want to make it known. So I did a post, and this is what we got down to thanks to the people, right? So I had a lot of people saying, Alex, where the F is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2? You people voted for it. And so you weren't there. No, so these were the top 5. Okay. I think I did this slideshow right where the next slide should be the winner. These were the 5 that were narrowed down according to you. Is that you had a free reign at any game you wanted. And I had some interesting choices, or people had some interesting responses to that. So these were the 5. And then we can, I think, jump to the winner. So this was decided based off, actually, this was a pretty big number, more like 3,000 plus people voted, and they got it down to Claire Obscure. So what can you say? And I will say, again, fun fact, this was, I think, 47% of the vote. So, I mean, you look at these games, almost half voted for Claire, and then the rest of them voted for the rest. So it wasn't really close, if we're being real with each other.
Nope.
Okay. Not even close. All right. Best villain. This was one I think Sway introduced the very first year. I really liked this category. So I believe these are yours.
Yes. So I have Reiner from Clear Obscure. I have Shroud from Dispatch. I have Lord Narkusaki from Ghost of Yote. I got Achilles from Ninja Gaiden 4. And I have the director from Wondrous Fragment. The director really makes you really question everything, because he's really, as you're playing the game, you're realizing that he's influencing literally everything that's happening up into that point in the game. And when you realize that, you realize how much like you have been essentially being played with the entire game. Achilles was one I didn't see coming in Ninja Gaiden 4. It was unexpected because they're practically helping you the entire time. And then when you find out like how 0 to 100 they go, it's a little bit different. Lord Nargasaki, I think, was just a very, very, very good villain for Ghost of Yotei. Consistent all the way through. Did a very good job at making you not like them.
Yeah.
Very good job. Shroud, another good one. Another good job in making you not like them. Another good job in making you want to defeat them. Another good job. Just Dispatch. Can we just say how good narratively Dispatch was?
Yeah, very good.
Absolutely. And Reiner, this is the biggest op of the whole book.
Yeah, we can kind of skip through it if you want.
Yeah.
I did try to get a little experimental. I threw in Higgs. I think Higgs is a really good.
Very good.
You know, and I tried to go really deep here. I think we both actually ended on the same one, but try to go a little deep of like Higgs just commands the screen. You know what I mean? At the same time, I guess why he wouldn't win. There's just I was waiting for the depth to his character, and it's okay to sometimes just have a larger than life persona that he kind of had. And it's kind of needed for a game like Death Stranding, to be honest with you. But I was waiting for like that one next moment where there's like just something deeper to him. I basically picked, so we could say, Hinako's like other. I don't want to. There's no real reason, I guess, to spoil it if we're not going to go too deep. So that's a good one. I feel that villain of Silent Hill 2 or Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill F, very good. And then you might be wondering what's going on with this glass. So that's Skate Story, of course, right? So I wanted to do this because the villains in Skate Story, if you don't know and you want to know how crazy that game is, the villains are Moons and the Devil. And you can go off and just let that kind of be in your mind the whole time of like, what does that even mean, you know, in that situation. So yeah, this was a real good one. But like you said, there was really only one winner for both of us. We can just do 1, 2. You want to go first?
Reiner was, as I said before, he was the biggest op. He was the biggest villain of the bunch. The amount of hurt that you feel for the things he does.
Yeah. But doing it for what he really believed in.
Yeah,
he made a good attempt at the end of like, this is why I'm doing, and that's really a tale for any good villain, right? Why are you doing it? He gave a pretty good thesis of why he was doing it.
Exactly. He was kind of that, if you were comparing them like current media, I guess like if you want to go Marvel, the Killmongers or the Thanoses of the world, who when they explain what they're doing, it's like, okay, yeah, they gotta. I see what you're getting at there. You're still wrong, but I get where you're coming from here. And he was, and I think with him, the thing that made him even more villainous, he had conviction. Yeah. Even if he was conflicted about something, based on his actions, you couldn't tell.
Yeah. He went for it. He was always, he had his driving goal. And although you don't agree, and nobody really agreed, right? He was really kind of a one-man show of even, and if you know the story, I mean, like really nobody was kind of directly on his side of how he was approaching things, but like he believed in it. He just let that kind of flow the whole game.
The whole game.
And might I say, I think you mentioned it back the first time he was on here. Anytime you face this guy, there's just a feel of dread where like and again, I think that's just a masterful way of what they do with him as a character and the visuals and the cutscenes, right? But then you put it into gameplay and you say, oh my God, I fear this guy fighting him, right? It's going to be a tough battle anytime. And I think you fight him maybe 3 times. The Gustav one's kind of like a cheating one, right? I think you fight him at least 2 more. And every time you almost buckle up, right? You like stand up in your seat and you're like, okay, I'm ready for war. He's tough.
You got to lock in, and you got to lock in, and you're in the uphill battle. You're probably gonna get the floor mopped with you, but hey, you're going in there.
And as
you want to beat him so bad though.
Yeah. And you could ask if he's that's true. That's true. He is probably the more like ambiguous, like
Complex.
he's probably on both of our lists, and we have different people. He's the one I think you can make the best argument for on both lists if he even is a villain. Like I definitely, I kind of think that's what makes him so kind of special to both of us, you know. Okay. I want to say this is mine. Yeah, because I think Kingdom Come. So best skill gap. Again, kind of how we interpret this is up to each of us. So I did Hollow Knight, Doom, Expedition, Ninja Gaiden, Kingdom Come. The way I guess I thought of it was like, what does somebody who's playing this game and has no idea what they're doing? What kind of experience is that versus, you know, when it's turned up to like an 11? Expedition did not win this one for me, but it made an okay attempt, right? Where it's like, I would fall back on what I said earlier. You kind of have to get good at that game. That's a tough one because like maybe even Hollow Knight, like a lot of these have difficulties, you know, you could turn it down, turn it up. I guess specifically Hollow Knight and Expedition, you're forced, like you got to figure it out or you're not going to beat the game. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a tough one, but I feel good about those. And then Sway.
So I had Battlefield 6, Doom Dark Ages, Clair Obscur, Ninja Gaiden 4, and Metal Gear. For me, I mean, Battlefield is, as the reasons I listed earlier.
That's a good one.
that was a good one. I feel like that one is definitely skill related there. Doom Dark Ages could be a mixture of I'm not what I used to be at Doom games, but I also realized that I had a few friends, and even seeing online, like there's a lot of people that had struggles with Doom Dark Ages. Also Clair Obscur, again, to echo what Alex said, like you have to get good. You have to. There's no choice. You got to figure it out or you're cooked. Ninja Gaiden, as a hack and slash player, like, you know, those waves of enemies, learning how to use your different tools, learning how to crowd control, learning how to focus in, and they give you so many weapons throughout the game, and learning when you should use it, what you should use, how you should manage your resources that you do have, learning the enemy patterns, your stereotypical fighting game pretty much these days. Very good though. And then Metal Gear has always been a game that has been challenging to me no matter what form it is. I've played Metal Gear my entire life. I've struggled with Metal Gear my entire life. It will always be a skill gap thing. And I think that, like, you know, there's people online I watch that go through the missions so effortlessly. And I feel like you can say this about a lot of different games. Like if you watch, you know, somebody play Arkham, you watch two different people play Arkham, you'll watch somebody just cutting through the stealth missions like butter, and then you'll watch another person completely struggling. And that is the difference in the skill gap. And I look at skill gap, I think skill gaps can be applied to any game practically. It's just how well can the majority of people do at this thing. Yeah. And that is definitely all these games represent that for me.
I agree. And I also want to welcome Nerd Space Games, friend of the channel, and you might also see him a little bit later in the show. Welcome in, buddy. Okay, we actually both ironically picked the same one in Doom, The Dark Ages. I think this is an example where you kind of won me over. I picked mine, and then I saw you picked Doom. I kind of leaned on you more because this was your category in the first place. But I mean, and again, the way I think of it, how I was describing it earlier, like I guess that mine's like the difference of experience based off like easy and hard. Doom is like otherworldly, you know, when you crank it up, you have to be super locked in. This was a challenge, and also like this was a different kind of Doom game. You know, it's still my least favorite of. But you're saying it's your least favorite of like two masterpieces, right? Like Doom 2016 and Eternal are some of the best in class of shooters. You put this in, I mean, like you're standing next to, you know, elites, and it's a really good game. So it rewards. It's got the fundamentals, it's got the mechanics, all that stuff, and it just kind of depends on what difficulty you're doing.
Exactly. And again, like it's one of those games where like if you can stick with it, get through it, especially on them harder difficulties, you feel so rewarded because you feel like you actually triumphed, you've actually succeeded over a challenge, and that's why I would akin that to.
Okay, now I'm making sure we're on. Okay, we're getting there. I want to make sure like I don't miss any of my trailers or anything we still have to do. Most innovative. This one was a fun one. And I think this is yours.
So most innovative: Wanderer's Fragments, Death Stranding 2, Madison VR, South of Midnight, and Arcane Age VR. There are a few VR titles on here. I think this is where I went VR nuts. And Wonders Fragments, I've been going on and on about that. All you've seen that nominated a few times here. Madison VR, very, very beautiful game. Very innovative with how they chose to incorporate mystery with horror. And then Arcane VR, just absolutely amazing as far as its mechanics and how they have you go about combat, figuring things out, puzzles, how you use like the actual, I guess what we would call the controls of VR itself. Like it plays with it a little bit, plays with the features, kind of the same way that Astrobot would kind of play with the features of like the PlayStation 5 controller.
That gets me in. Did you say that just for me? That gets me in.
That's what I would akin Arcane Age to. If you get into VR, you want to test what your that technology can do. Definitely go with that for sure.
Interesting. All right. So mine, I swapped a bunch out, but I did keep South of Midnight. This one was a little tough for me, I think, overall. But Dispatch, I just think, how did it innovate that genre? Same thing I would say, probably Kingdom Come. The top three really is doing something with an established thing. You kind of know how it's supposed to be, and then what does it innovate kind of afterwards. And then the bottom two there, Skate Story, really a class of its own, I feel, in this way. And then South of Midnight, just something truly. It wasn't an amazing game, but it was a really rock solid one that I do think is going to age really well. Not just because the visuals will kind of forever be good. I do think people will look back at South of Midnight fondly, as the years go. Okay, so now yours is this.
Yes, Arcane VR. And like I said before, like if you're gonna play a VR game, you want a unique experience. You want I think this was the game this year that took VR to a new height. Just the way that it plays with the technology of VR and also the game mechanics within it itself. It's truly a special experience. I would even say to the point where just seeing how other people have talked about the game glowingly, I can't put into words how well the studio making this game did with it. And it's a game where if you're not sure about VR and you have your questions about VR and like what VR is capable of or how much fun you can have with VR, this is one of those titles that I would highly recommend on that.
There you go. And I would like to point this because this is a good one. Blueprints. This is probably where Blueprints would swoop in. This is another one of those Kingdom Come things, at least for me, that I did play Blueprints, but not enough to really, I think, appreciate it. It probably would make a lot of people's top 5, top 10 of the whole year. And then for me, it slides because I didn't do it. And I was very happy to give this, as you know, as I just keep, in terms of the two indies and in terms of games, I think that are really, you probably have not heard of, or you have the highest chance of not hearing, right, before this show, of Skate Story and Sword of the Sea. So I really want to drive home to play both these games. But I really think, innovation, if you've played a skateboarding game, you've played like only a tenth of this game. Like really, like skateboarding is very important to it, but what it does with skateboarding is even more. And then any other element is like completely new. And again, like I've never really seen a story done like this before. The way the music again works with the gameplay, the combat being that you have to pull off tricks to do damage and you have to like do it in certain zones. It's nuts. I did a whole review of this if you want to if you want to look at that, I guess. But yeah, I wanted to highlight Skate Story because it's
on my list to play, and you're making me want to play it even more.
I hope that's my goal. It's my goal to push these two games. Okay, most improved. I really wanted to go off the board with this one. Okay, so, and I think we maybe took different approaches. So my approach was, I think we did. My approach was literally like original or like last game to this game. So Kingdom Come 2, because I'm comparing it to 1, SpongeBob, because I'm comparing it to Cosmic Shake. Silent Hill F, because really, I guess I'm comparing it not even to Silent Hill 2, like I'm going back, to where Silent Hill was just a very iffy franchise. Sword of the Sea, I'm comparing to like Pathless and Abzu, which the makers did before Sword of the Sea. And the Mafia of the Old Country, I'm comparing to Mafia 3. So that's kind of how I mean, they all, I feel like this is a good one. We actually had a lot of good franchises this time. In fact, we have one of those coming up. Great year for continuing franchises. And honestly, I think a lot of them, I don't know how many like came out and were worse. You know what I mean? I think a lot of them came out and were better than what we got before. So wanted to highlight those. And then Sway, I think you completely different ones than me. Yeah.
Completely different. After seeing your list, I kind of appreciate yours significantly more than the way I approached it, for the simple fact that like I like thinking when I like doing these we do these shows. Part of the fun in it is just thinking about the process of improvement.
Yeah.
And I feel like the improvement from where the franchise was and where it is now through like game 1 and game 2, that's definitely
I took a very literal approach. I think you
Yes.
kind of looked at like the landscape of it,
Yep.
more broad.
For me, I looked at it as like almost like a continuing game. Like what game continues and it's like nonstop, like almost like a live service, and like what game has improved from point A to point B. That's kind of how I looked at it this year.
But I do need you, as Aplersky says, I need you to explain one game.
COD. COD is only for the simple fact that the reason why COD is here is because Black Ops 6, even in its multiplayer, and the multiplayer is practically the same as 7, but where I think the multiplayer does get right is it brings that, it cuts out all of the sluggishness of 6, all the things that people did not like about 6 multiplayer, and it brings you back, even the way that the lobbies are formatted, even the way, like, it feels like to put it frank, Black Ops 7 multiplayer, just the multiplayer portion, we will not talk about the campaign, that feels like the Call of Duty that I used to play when I was younger, when I was growing up, when Call of Duty had the toxic lobbies. That feels like the Call of Duty experience that I felt now, and not just to the player engagement experience, but down to the gameplay as well. And when comparing 6 to 7, I think that was an improvement. Now, is it nearly the improvement as everything else on this list? Absolutely not. But I think if we're comparing it to itself, absolutely. I think in terms of most improved games, I think it did make strides. And then I have Helldivers here. Helldivers is always an improving game. Year over year, same thing with Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 added a lot of maps, especially with that Switch 2 update. A lot of things from the original Splatoon game, like such as maps, weapons, things of that nature coming back. If you like the way that it originally played, or like some of the maps, or even some of the soundtracks, you get that feeling kind of now within Splatoon 3, along with some things that it could have done better. It feels like it's made strides to actively clean that up. Marvel Rivals, I think that game does nothing but get better over time. Every time you think that it's, they've reached their peak, they find a way to peak again. And Battlefield, I mean, I think that if there was a game on this list that would be like me thinking of it from the literal sense, like you approached it, it would be Battlefield, because coming from 2042 to now is night and day, night and day, and it has revitalized the entire franchise.
That's right. I want to thank, by the way, Nerd Space Games for posting it on your channel. I appreciate it. Big night. Okay, well, you gave I think you appeased the crowd. I think they respect your take, and you just had to kind of walk yourself through it, or walk them through it. Okay, so mine, I really went off the board here. I kind of forgot which one I picked. SpongeBob Titans of the Tide really is, I think, either the second best SpongeBob game ever or the best. So again, just from like a literal take, going from Cosmic Shake to this, like I was blown away with just how much better this was. So I feel like that really earned it. And then also just going from a pretty mediocre SpongeBob game, all things considered, to like the best one. Feel like that, because I think the rest of them definitely had big improvements, but they might not be still the best versions of SpongeBob's actually almost in a bad spot where like, where do you go from here? You know what I mean? Like there's not really, after this, you're in a really tough situation because you might have to stop, to be honest with you.
You might have to. I mean, the gameplay mechanics that they added in with like the ghost forms, the alternating, even some of the costumes, they kind of got Arkhamish there with the costumes there between both of them. They had like callbacks to everything, and the platforming. That I seen this game on your list. I was jealous, honestly, that I didn't approach it the same way you did.
And then we have yours,
Marvel Rivals. Again, like just take a look at the Gambit update with Gambit and Rogue. I believe that the maps that they put in the game, the continued evolution of just balancing the characters, the gameplay itself, the community as a whole. This game does nothing but improve. And the only reason why I did not have Battlefield beating this out is because I think that it's very easy to improve when you're at rock bottom. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's even more difficult to improve on something when you've had nothing but continued success.
All right.
And when your margin of improvement is still significant on top of you already having that margin of success is a lot more special for me personally, because it goes to what Alex just said about SpongeBob. Where do you go from there? Like you're getting to a point where you got a mediocre game, but then you got a good game, and this game did everything well, and it's like, oh man, they didn't have to stop because where do you go from here? It's kind of like, how do you find success when you reach that peak?
Yeah. Do you want to, before we go, we have like 4 more categories. Do you want to drop and rejoin because you keep breaking up?
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to rejoin. Okay.
Let me try this. I can lead the charge for this last. We'll get Sway back in, but I want. Oh, actually, no. He leads best community. This is VR, by the way, over here. There we go. Let's see. Did that improve anything? Well, it's taking a while to get him back on. I don't know if it's. I think it's his internet, but it could be mine. Let's see. He's in there, but also kind of not. I'll say his category while we fix this thing. So we had Expedition, Battlefield, Hollow Knight, Marvel Rivals, and the VR community. I do like his, by the way, throwing in, and this is a tough category, I think, just overall. Oh wait, there we go.
All right,
there we go.
How we doing?
That's much better. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Can you hear me? You're good?
Yep. You hear me?
Yeah.
Coming in okay?
Yep. There we go.
Right,
That's
beautiful.
better quality. Okay, I read yours out. Do you want to explain any of them for community?
Best community. So, where's the good old list? All right. Best community, Claire Obscure, Battlefield, Hollow Knight, Marvel Rivals, VR gaming community. I'm going to explain VR first because I feel like that one is kind of very broad compared to the other ones, which are specifically games. The VR community, I feel like it's for every game kind of the same. It is the most, I would say, one of the most supportive communities out there. They get you to where you need to go. The information is always there. There's a very positive vibe to it. I would say the same thing equally for something like Hollow Knight, where it's the community centered around the game is just very positive for the most part. Just talking about the game, just talking about the brilliance of it, just talking about the platforming, things that they like about it. Claire Obscure, I would say even more so because of the complexity of it and how to use your resources and how to get everything in the amount of wealth of information that spreads around there. I think all of these games have great communities.
There we go. Then I swapped a couple. I kind of went by like the Twitter crowd, and the Twitter crowd can be very toxic most times. So it was a little difficult, but honestly, I think once I settled, like just kind of the talk around town, social media wise, Lost Records I thought was really impressive. All of them, Dispatch, Dispatch with like fan art and stuff, really, I think carried to a great degree that game. Silent Hill F had a lot of that too, just kind of like fan support of the art and the game. Hollow Knight was kind of like a steady force. Death Stranding, kind of like a more Kojima heavy crowd. Once I kind of settled on, all right, let's kind of go by who was like the least toxic on social media. I kind of figured it out there. And then we had your winner.
Yeah, so for me, it was Clair Obscur. I would say less so after the Game Awards, but like even then, this community, whether you go on Reddit, whether you go on Twitter, it was always positive. Very positive. Again, like just everyone wanting to help each other figure out the best builds for characters, how to best get around certain situations, and even just talking about the story of the game. Just it's always a pleasure. I think Alex said something very wonderful when he said kind of like the Twitter litmus test. He's like, yes, Twitter sucks. It definitely sucks. But if there's one thing that it will do is point out the most toxic. And I feel like if I had to even rate mine, as much as I like the Marvel Rivals community, it's definitely the most toxic of the bunch that I've listened.
Yeah. Okay. And I was assuming I picked Dispatch back in the day. No, great. I really think great community. I kind of thought of it again from like, you think about how that game built up over the weeks, right? Like it really was the game needs to be good, of course, right? But just over the weeks, the community just kind of having its back and building and talking about it and theories and fan art and pushing the shipping, relationships, whether it's Blonde Blazer and Robert or Invisigal. Just incredible, really, really good. I feel if there was a community that kind of carried its game or had almost as much to do with the game's success as the game, I feel pretty confidently that Dispatch was like that game.
I think Dispatch was like community-wise the Stellar Blade of 2025.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think Stellar Blade probably won this for one of us that year. Okay, best new IP. This has to kind of be me. So, best new IP, of course, rules are pretty. This one does not really, I feel like, interpretation. There is none. Clair Obscur, Dispatch, Chronos, Skate Story, Sword of the Sea. Much like I think we had amazing continued franchises, which I believe is next on the list. We also just had absolute insane. And by the way, this is a little, I think once you see how this show goes, it's a little unfair because this was really just such a phenomenal. I talked about those bottom two. How about Dispatch just being one of the better games of the year, period? Clair Obscur, Chronos kind of coming out of nowhere, although people did see it coming, but I think Bloober Team did an excellent job. So, yeah, I think this is maybe the only time I nominated Chronos. I was trying to get it in for something. We got to do a horror category, by the way. I realized next year we got to like tweak it just a little, but Chronos deserves, I think, some sort of new brand, new game kind of recognition. So that was mine. And there's yours.
For me, I had Dispatch, Clair Obscur, Lost Soul Aside, Arc Raiders, and Deadpool VR. And again, any of these games, this is their first in Deadpool. Obviously, it's his first game, but it's his first game in this continuity. And all of these games, I think, were very shining lights in their own way. Lost Soul Aside, exclusively from a combat perspective. If you can get a different narrative team in there, more polished, and build it around that combat and enhance it, I think that would work wonders. But that improvement, and assuming it would get a second chance, is very optimistic, to say the least.
They had big ambitions for Lost Soul Aside, for sure.
Definitely. Dispatch, as you said, is literally one of the best games of the year. Narratively, it takes that Telltale formula and takes it to a new level. Clair Obscur, what more can we say that we've already have said? And Arc Raiders, honestly.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that on yours.
Arc Raiders, I would even go as far as to say it could have easily made my list for best community for the last one. The amount of videos that you see, the amount of just moments of people being part of different factions, but yet helping each other randomly when they don't need to. You see, you're by yourself and you run up against a whole nother group of raiders, and they're just, like, you think you're about to get killed and raided. No, they're sitting there helping you. And so I think that just the amount of burst in popularity that game had this year, it was no way I couldn't put it there.
There you go. And we have a backing for the horror category, so we're gonna work on that behind the scenes for next year. Okay, my best new IP. What can you say? It was tough. This was a tough one because I mean, you've seen how much I've spoken up about all of. I guess it's really more like, how do I think about Clair Obscur versus the other games? They are all such. They're just great entry points. You know, even honestly, Lost Soul aside, I think was a good one you put on yours. Like, just a lot of great starts that you need great. Well, you don't even necessarily need great starts. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can have an average start and kind of build. These games almost just have a selfish kind of like they selfishly get to start at such a high level. You know what I mean? Like going from 1 to 2, it's actually more tough. Like you think about Uncharted 1 to 2 or Gears of War back in the day, right? Like there was kind of average but solid potential into something bigger. Maybe even like a Days Gone, you know, if that got a second game, it was a rock solid game. These are like elite freaking games that you're starting with. So God only knows, you know what I mean, what the second game for these could be. And then I believe yours was the same, yeah.
Yes, Clair Obscur easily. There's nothing, I mean, in terms of best new IP, again, like I don't even know if you remember before the game came out, like the reception was, you know, pretty positive, but there was pretty much like doubters just from every aspect, like, oh, it's a turn-based game, it's only going to do this. And, you know, I think that it was a game that as a turn-based player, I feel like there was no game in any genre of gaming that needed their game more than that genre needed Clair Obscur. Because I feel like this was the game that right after it came out, right after reviews hit, right after people played it, I've seen so many people saying that they were interested in playing more turn-based RPGs. And I think that is just, you know, when you have that genre moment, I feel like for me that was easily best new IP.
That's a good way of saying it. Okay, best continuing franchise. I believe this is yours.
Best continuing franchises: Ninja Gaiden 4, Battlefield 6, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Doom: The Dark Ages. Battlefield, I mean, again, like the success, the revitalization of it all. Ninja Gaiden, the return, as you said it earlier, the return of a legend. Assassin's Creed Shadows, I'd say a solid entry, honestly.
I agree with that.
and a return to, I'm not going to say a complete return to form, but I think that it was a return to optimism and hope for that franchise. Hollow Knight easily keeps up that consistency, and same thing with Doom. You might, like you said with Doom earlier, you might think it's the weakest of the bunch, but look what it's next to. Yeah. And that's kind of that thing I was talking about of like success. When you've had so much success, how do you keep going from there? And I felt like that's what it was doing, was battling itself.
Right. I agree. And then mine, I kind of try to go off the board for some, pick some that were a little bit safer. So Ghost, just building a very strong franchise is kind of how I looked at this one. I guess maybe compared to Most Improved, I kind of looked at like which one is just like building a very steady, like this is an elite franchise. So Ghost as a franchise, kind of Ghost, Kingdom Come, Death Stranding, Silent Hill. And there's your Hades 2. Hades 2, I played enough of it to have a little bit of representation. I didn't want it to kind of sweep or anything, but yeah, I feel like we're in a very good spot with these 5 franchises. I guess it's kind of like if I'm looking at these 5 pictures, I'm saying these are all maybe not necessarily like the top of their game, maybe a couple of them for sure. Like these are, if you're building off of these 5, you're doing really, you know, I mean, you're doing really good there. So we got yours.
Mine was Hollow Knight Silksong easily. I think that again, the first entries was just absolutely amazing. And do you remember before this game came out, before it even had a release date, how much people were asking, where is it? Where is it? And to not only have gotten it, but to have the quality that was put into this game. And for it to be as fun as it was, I feel like for me there was no other pick.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like yours. And mine, Kingdom Come. I feel this is what I just said, and this is probably the strongest of those franchises. Ghost, you kind of are wondering, like, do you keep going? Can you keep going? It's a very strong, I'm just kind of using that as an example, but like Kingdom Come, this is such a strong, I mean, building on the foundations of one. It's in such a strong place, and there's still probably, well, although I don't know, like story wise, narratively, but from like a systems and like the RPG. In fact, I think they've even said in interviews like they want to be the RPG studio, like the best one, in the world, right? So they've set their sights high, and I feel like this is a good benchmark for them. So we have best performance, and I'm gonna go based off of like who they are in the game. But I mean, you have a freaking, much like we've said with best character, other things that we've done. I mean, you got like a clean sweep here. So you got Blonde Blazer and Visigal, broke my rule of the two from the same game. Hinako, Fragile, and then Mael. All ladies, by the way, but there's a lot of men that did a fantastic. In fact, I think you counterbalanced this quite well. What a year! No, honestly, what a year for. This is why. Okay, honestly, when it comes to like the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley and all that stuff, you don't need to rely on the Hollywood types. If you want to go like superstars in gaming, you have superstars in gaming. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you need voice actors like at all or actors at all to like do these awards. I think you probably could just do executives at studios or leads or whatever. But I mean, if you want to like have some of these actors walk out on stage, how about like some of these? I mean, they have had a lot of these infused in presenting awards, but just go head deep into like these people, because like you have such a amazing group of people that do voice work every single year. You know what I mean? Compared to like the Hollywood stuff. So that's that. I covered the female side. And actually, you almost covered the whole male side.
Yes, and I think honestly, again, like all of mine are practically from Clair Obscur, except for Neil Patrick Harris. And I mean, honestly, for him, the reason why he was my runner-up for like spoilers, my runner-up, because for the simple fact that Deadpool is an exhausting character to play. I feel like for anybody, and Ryan Reynolds make it look easy, but you have to realize that if somebody else that didn't have the charismatic charm of Ryan Reynolds tries to play that character, they're going to get annoying very quickly. And Deadpool does not stop talking in this game. He is just like he is in the movies. There is no break or anything. And Neil makes it interesting every single time. I personally don't get irritated with him. He's very funny. He has jokes for days. When the game needs to get a little bit more of a different tone, he brings that. I think the task that it takes to play Deadpool, I feel like he met that. And I feel like for most people, we all feel like it takes a special person to kind of do that. Like you have to be kind of like Ryan Reynolds, or else it could go left really quickly.
I like him a lot as I like a lot of the stuff he's in, and I either forgot / did not know he played Deadpool. So when I saw when you sent me like your picks, I was like, oh my god, that actually added, because I really like him. So that made me think, oh, I got to see how he does as Deadpool.
I highly recommend it. He does a very good job. Everyone else on this list, I mean, if you play Clair Obscur, the performances across the board.
You got the representation of Charlie Cox. You got him in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong. And again, Jennifer English, she's killing it. She's in so many games.
She just wins Game of the Year awards with her eyes closed.
With her eyes closed. She doesn't need an award from us.
That's right. But I will say, I went off the board. I tried to be a little bit different for mine. I did Laura Bailey. Just because I think her charisma with Invisigal was like next freaking. I mean, they're all so good. They're all, and I kind of only covered part of the Expedition group versus you covering really the rest of them, and they all are so freaking fantastic. And like I said, this is really where I wanted Hinako's Japanese actress. Like she does such a phenomenal job. I really wanted to give it to her, but I thought like who just kind of brings it as their character and just in such a lovable way. I don't really think anybody beats that in the way I was thinking about it in my head than Laura Bailey. So that was a tough one though, because this year just had so many people. And then we have yours, Game of the Year actress and all other things.
Yes. Jennifer English. How could you not go with her? I mean, she's she's talented. I think she brought Mayo to life. Again, Mayo was the heart of that game.
Yeah.
And if you love that game tremendously, you know, like it's like you said earlier, Mayo is probably a big part of that. And for me, she tied that all together, and her performance spoke to me more than anything else, performance-wise, than any other characters, more than Neil Patrick Harris could ever have done. But then again, it's also the material that Nero had to work with, probably.
Right.
But I feel like she stood out to me the most. And I feel like I love the fact that Dispatch characters was on yours, because a lot of those, there was a lot of great performances in that game as well.
Yeah. And then what do we got? I think I've petitioned for this one in the past, but this one is yours.
All righty, here we go. We have Best Cast, Ghost of Yote, Indiana Jones, Dispatch, Claire Obscure, Mafia: The Old Country. I don't think that there's a bad thing here that you could go with.
Loaded.
I mean, the Mafia, I feel like
it's the underrated one here. I really feel it's the one that will never win the award, but it should win an award because it's just stacked for like 7 characters.
It is, and the performances were so believable. Like it breaks my heart the amount of times I've seen or I myself have nominated Mafia, and I just have not been able to get it to go.
No, the nominations are important. Mafia, I don't even think, did it even get? It maybe got 1 or 2 nominations at Game Awards. So I think nominating it for our awards means something to us. We get to talk about it, flesh it out a little bit more. You know.
Yeah, and hopefully, like, I don't know how many people have gotten a chance to play Mafia, but that is one of the games that I would absolutely recommend this year. 100%.
All right. So now mine, and I kept it pretty the same, but I did Claire Obscure, Silent Hill, Death Stranding, Dispatch, Mafia. You could expand this. I really think you can get 7, 8, 9 games long of just insanely stacked casts. Okay. Not really much more. I mean, Death Stranding's got a lot, and that focuses a little bit more on like the mainstream, Hollywood types, the Norman Reeduses that by the way do an incredible job, and they fit in, with this weird, wacky world, as opposed to like these other ones that are kind of classically more games. But and just to shine the light, by the way, also on Silent Hill F, like I think not just Hinako, but you can go down the list of that one's a little bit more constrained. Like there's only probably 4 characters that really can drive it, but as opposed to like I think other games probably have a longer casting list, But we have yours, Sway.
Claire Obscure. I think that, again, the only game for me that really rivaled this would have been Dispatch. When you're talking about the complete cast all together, I mean, incredible performances across the board. There were people on my list for best performances from Claire, on your list from Claire. I feel like a lot of people, and same thing with Dispatch, equally could be said. Both games, their cast came to show up. And this, for me, I think the more mind-boggling thing is not only did the cast like go beyond overperforming, but some of the cast choices that they got, but again, with this budget and it being indie gaming studio, I did not expect them to have the star power that they kind of had in this game. And that was the other thing that kind of blew me away, but it matched. And I think that as far as like a complete cast, Claire Obscure just did that for me.
You might be shocked about mine because I actually did go off the board a bit.
Oh.
And I picked Dispatch. Yeah.
Equally,
and I would go so controversially far to say, if I were to rank the top 3, I would say Dispatch, Mafia, then Claire Obscure. And I think the reasoning why everybody brings up a Claire Obscure, but I think that is probably, to me, I think of that as like a top 3 or 4 heavy thing, and then there's like a gap between the rest. Dispatch, to be fair, also does not have the most top heavy. There's really three top heavy characters, but it's got a real long list, right? The Z team, just a lot of characters and Chase and all this. So you got a lot of depth I would say. If we're talking like sports analogies, you got a lot of like depth players going on in Dispatch versus kind of like a more stacked lineup. Mafia is just kind of consistent, you know, just like a group of like, you know, second liners if it's NHL or, you know, yeah. So I wanted to spread the wealth a little bit.
Yes.
But no, I really just some lovable freaking characters. I would also say, to be a little fair kind of to both sides, like Dispatch is just more lovable. Like Invisigal and Blonde Blazer, because of the source material and what the story is trying to tell, Claire Obscure is trying to really push a lot of like complex things, right? Like you're going through like this heavy story. So nobody is really so black and white in Claire Obscure, right? Like there's all depth to them. And so maybe it takes a little bit longer to kind of figure out what makes them tick. Feel like with Dispatch, you fall in love with like the main three immediately. And to be fair, there's not a lot of budge because there's not as much depth as goes into it as Claire Obscure, but made them come across more likable quicker, I would say. Okay.
Same thing with Mafia.
What?
Same thing with Mafia as well.
Mafia 2. Mafia is just the ultimate consistent cast. If I were to make another category,
100.
that would be that one. Okay, we got one more, and then we have our guest spots and our finishing awards. So we'll kind of rapid fire. So I did for best studio. I think you took it more broad, looking at yours. I tried to pick like specific like teams here. So I went with like the team behind Expedition, Sword of the Sea, Dispatch, Kingdom Come, and Chronos. Amazing games, a lot of original stuff here. Studios that, well, really, even I would say with Kingdom Come, like, you know, not everybody knows of these studios, right? Maybe, you know, Bloober Team and all that jazz. Definitely the top three. Who's really thinking about ad hoc, you know, before Dispatch, right? So I kind of tried to pick things like that. So that was mine.
And I took mine, like, as you said, from a more broad sense. I feel like I love the fact that you went about yours so that way we can tackle both sides of the situation. Because I feel like, you know, like, again, like Sandfall, big studios like Xbox and Switch, Nintendo, it's very important to call out how well or bad said studios are doing and very well to applaud it. And I think that in a large sense, like when you think of it as a broad, how does certain studios manage their smaller studios is very important. And I felt like I kind of wanted to tackle that.
Yeah. And we had a console releasing from one of these. A console that's going to outsell all the others, by the way. So I like yours. Okay. So we'll do my winner. We've said it enough. They all deserve it. They all deserve it. Greatness from small beginnings, to be honest with you, with probably more than half of my 5, right? I liked yours. Although they haven't given you the ultimate prize yet, have they?
They have not given me the ultimate prize, but what they have given me is a consistency of success that I don't think we've seen from any of the larger studios.
Yes, that's like, why I figured you gave it to them for.
100%
of amazingness.
Every year, it's just with them. More consistency and more consistency. And then, keep on.
I would save this for next year, though, because Pragmata, Resident Evil, Onimusha, like, I think they're kind of locked in, at least for mine and yours, I'd say, for next year.
100%. And again, like, even from their structure, they're the one studio, I think, that when they say that they have a plan, they're so organized, and you hear about the process of how they go about structuring their plans, that when they say something, 9 times out of 10, that something happens, and it happens with quality. And just how we, you know, a few days before the Game Awards, we heard that they were planning on revitalizing franchises. Boom, Game Awards. You see Mega Man. And Mega Man was one of the games on that list, you know, so they're very actively listening to their community. It maybe took them a little too long, but they're listening.
I don't know if they should ever truly win until DMC comes back for you, but I get it.
Yes, we will not win until I can stop that countdown.
That's right.
They were the most consistent. They were the most quality driven, and I definitely think Capcom deserved this award.
There we go. Okay, I think I wanna. Oh, okay. So actually, this is where our guest spot comes in. So let me make sure, and we're gonna go like this.
Hollow Knight Silksong is easily one of my favorite games over the last couple of years and is my favorite game of 2025, mostly because of the improvements to the combat and the traversal for the entire game, including the downward backslash. The music choices of this game are absolutely fantastic, and Hornet as a main character is just someone that I can relate to and feels like a character that you can get attached to extremely quickly. A lot of the changes that they made from the original Hollow Knight into Silksong really showcase themselves in a beautiful way. The game is insanely challenging and punishes you for really just walking down a different path, and you can tackle this game in any real way that you want to. If you want to throw your head against the wall multiple times at a boss, the game does not punish you for it. Now, the game was a lot more mixed, probably because it was very much anticipated, but on release it broke multiple storefronts, and for $20 easily proved its worth. The game devs said multiple times that they were taking their sweet time with this game because they just kept having fun playing it, and that is something that you can truly feel through and through from start to finish. I've already begun my second replay of Hollow Knight Silksong and am slowly breaking the controllers on my Switch, and this is a game that I will be playing and keeping in my rotation for many, many years to come.
Mine was Dispatch. They kind of went against the grain by making it episodic. It's from Ad Hoc Studios, and it has former developers from Telltale. You might remember Telltale from all of the popular episodic games, kind of the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation that bled into the following one. And they delivered a strong superhero story that functioned as a new IP with new characters. It did not need to rest on the shoulders of any previous existing characters, which is again something that is difficult to do, and they came out swinging. They did a fantastic job delivering amazing characters like Robert Robertson, Mecha Man. There are so many amazing characters in this game. We're now hitting the point where there might be a season 2, we have to see, but it just goes to show the testament of how strong this game was. Animation that was beautiful, choices that felt like they mattered in an episodic narrative game. Those are things that are very difficult to pull off. And yet Ad Hoc Studios was able to come back against all odds, salvage the reputation of what had been Telltale, even though Telltale now kind of exists as its own weird thing without most of the people who helped make its games. Ad Hoc came in, had a new studio, new IP, new characters, and they made it all work. It's crazy that this game came out so strong. It was hard for me to pick just one, but Dispatch has to be it. I love talking about this game so much, so thanks for having me.
I'd say 2025 was one of the most interesting years for video game releases, and it actually did make choosing my game of the year difficult in the initial going, as I had a few games that were in contention. For the early part of the year, I thought it was going to be The Legend of Heroes Trail Through Daybreak 2, but I didn't feel like it was a big leap from the first Daybreak experience to warrant being my game of the year. Then Fatal Fury City of the Wolves was in consideration. But that game, while fun, didn't grab me in quite the same way other SNK fighting games have in the past, and I think that's mostly down to the fact so few of my friends were interested in playing it, and fighting games are always better when you have friends to play with. I briefly considered Expedition 33, but I haven't played enough of it yet. I then considered Digimon Story Time Stranger, but its last act was so badly paced, it eliminated itself, which leaves only Trails in the Sky First Chapter Remake. When this was first announced, I was super hyped up for it, as was the rest of the Trails community, and Falcom have hit a home run here. And if some of the reports are to be believed, this could be the best-selling Trails game of all time. But what did it do better than Daybreak 2? Honestly, it felt more polished, like the developers finally got comfortable with the new engine and the implementation of hybrid combat, all while keeping the amazing storytelling and world building the first Trails game was known for when it first launched for PC and PSP during the 2000s. Since I don't have a lot of time, I can't get as deep into the weeds as I would like. but this game is something special, and it's one I think everyone who enjoys JRPGs needs to experience, which is something myself and Alex will be getting into at some stage next year when we do a podcast together discussing Trails. Thanks for having me on, Alex. I am really excited to see what some of the others have chosen, and here's hoping 2026 will have lots more great games and collabs. But until next time, keep blazing that trail.
Now, I love getting immersed in video games. Now, there's been a few of those this year, but the one that immersed me the most is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I put in probably close to 200 hours and don't regret a single moment. This game did was take lessons that it learned from the original and completely improved and overhauled everything. The narrative, the side quests, the environmental storytelling, the writing, the cast, the characters, the music are all top notch here. For example, the combat. It's really hard to master, but is super rewarding once you do. In a world that's built on how sharp your sword and protective your armor is, you better have your wits about you, because if not, you might get killed by some peasant you said the wrong thing to. Without the willingness to learn and outfit yourself with the right gear, you may not survive this gritty yet charming medieval simulator. Which, by the way, why has it taken so long for a non-fantasy medieval sim to exist? I don't know, but either way, I'm glad it does, and that's why I'm glad to call Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 my game of the year for 2025.
I'm gonna go with the obvious, the game that I probably played the most this year and the game that I probably had the most fun with, and the game that honestly was the full package, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The game's soundtrack was arguably one of the best soundtracks I've ever experienced in a video game in years and decades even. As a huge fan of JRPGs, I for one really love the turn-based combat in this game. It gave me Persona vibes combined with the visuals and storytelling of the Final Fantasy series, and that was absolutely insane. And there's not many video games out there that can go out and say that they actually made me emotional to the point where I was tearing up and, you know, honestly kind of crying a little bit. So, yeah, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is one of those games I can say that about. The characters, the voice acting with my boy Charlie Cox in there, and so many other things about this game was just absolutely stunning. The visuals is something that I can just sit there and just look at while the music plays in the background and just sit there, just look at the landscape and just chill there, because it was just so immersive and so rewarding just to be in that environment. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is undeniably the game of the year of 2025, and do not listen to anybody that tells you otherwise, even if it's my boy podcast now, because this game 100% was better than any other video game released this year. Yeah, I said it, come at me if you think some other game was better than it, but I'm sticking with it. This game is game of the year, and quite honestly, it might even be game of the decade.
Well, let us back. Firstly, I love the confidence that was going on there. Honestly, what I want to say to start off, thank you to all the guests. You guys all freaking rock. I had to call in some favors, and I'm really thankful to you guys for being able to swoop in and help me out with that. So, and by the way, I mean, if you want to know, most of them's here. Colin, I think, was going to watch, or he'll watch later. Colin Lack was one of them. Wicked is here. Nerd Space Games, all great. Applersky and Jay. We'll just throw all of them out there so I don't miss anybody. Great creators. All their links are in the description, every single one of them. So if you haven't subscribed to them all, they all do different things too. I know Colin very much more like the JRPG group. If you're missing that representation, which we did miss it, he's the guy for that. Jay, obviously, all these guys super awesome. Okay, so that was all of the guests. Thank you for being on, and we will try to do an even better than that thing next year. Sway, we only have 2 things left, my friend, and it's the final thing. So I have a little trailer for Sway's. I have a trailer for me. And I'll end it by my game of the year, and we'll go from there. Okay, so let's make sure this works, and we'll figure it out.
My fellow Americans, fate has ordained that the men who went to the moon will rest in peace.
Okay, so you and me, we do this for yours. This is your Game of the Year nominees. You take it away from here.
And the nominees are Ghost of Yote, Death Stranding 2, Clair Obscur, Hollow Knight, Wondrous Fragments.
You want to just jump to, I believe we have your winner just as the next one. I hope. God, I hope so. Ready?
Clair Obscur Expedition 33. For me personally, I feel like the reason this was number one on my list, Game of the Year for me personally, this was the game that when it was first announced, I was very intrigued by, and finding out that not only was it turn-based, but the influence was JRPG in terms of its gameplay. Not only the presentation, but everything about this game garnered excitement from me. Barring how the game turned out, I was, as Alex can attest, love Fire Emblem, love playing the South Park games that are turn-based. I am at my heart, like, I love turn-based games. Enjoyed Mario Rabbids. I can go on and on and on about it, and I feel like it's one of those genres. I mean, even what was the Marvel's one that came out a few years ago?
Midnight Suns?
Midnight Suns, yes.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. I love them a lot. And for this game to have come out as strongly as it did, immensely proud just for a game this big in this magnitude to explode on people's radar just as much as it did. Absolutely had a pleasure playing it. It was a special experience. It was. I'm almost with my guy there that said it is defactively the game of the year. I'm almost with him as strongly as that.
let me say something. I edited that, and I missed the part where he literally says it doesn't even matter what I say. I heard everything else. I missed that part of Nerd Space Games. That was really fun. I heard that. I swear I did not hear that when I was editing it, but yeah.
That was absolutely hilarious. And I mean, great job, by the way, to all the guests that came in and gave their Game of the Years. Loved every single one of them, and a lot of them were unique as well. So yeah.
I was hoping they'd all pick different ones, and I think we literally got that. So
we got that answer. And for me, mine was more stereotypical. And if you would have told me about probably when the game first dropped that this would have been the stereotypical answer for Game of the Year, I would not have believed you. If there was too much going against it, it's turn-based. It's made by a small studio. Small studios never gets the love that they, like the bigger giants get. I would have never, so for me, it feels like now, as much as I do love this game, and I do have every collector's edition, other editions, I've bought this game twice. I've got so
that's good too, because everything's going up in price. So
yes,
yeah.
This game, as I said before, was very special to me, and I very much appreciated the work that the team put into it. And I've also loved to see how just multiple communities have come together and surround it. And it was a very special ride. I would say until the Game Awards, now it's becoming a little bit of a villain, but
now it's like getting too much love or something.
Yeah, it's got too much love, and I can absolutely see why. Again, games like Mafia, games like Dispatch, which is crazy as it is, I feel like it's received a lot of love, and I still don't think Dispatch gets as much love as it deserves. Yeah. There was a lot of games that came out this year that I felt like were under the radar and deserved so much more love. And I almost feel bad for having the love that I do for Clair Obscur. But it for many reasons means a lot to me. And that game had the biggest impression.
There you go. I agree. That's why I like doing these, is because Clair Obscur deserves so many of these awards, but it makes the other ones not really like, you don't really recognize the other ones. You're kind of like nodding to them. Whereas I like ours because we could talk about for 2 hours, right? A little bit more in depth. Like there's a lot of games that deserve love and attention this year. It's not just Clair Obscur, right? So, okay, my turn. Let's do it.
He's predicting our moves. Heroes
care of it. Get them inside.
It wasn't about that. What's wrong?
Mine kind of epic. I'm sorry about that, but there you go. Okay, so to flesh it out just a little bit more, I forgot to tell you, by the way, Sway. I know you were on vacation and doing like life stuff. It's actually 6 nominees you could have done, but it was far too late to tell you at the time. So I got a little bit of a head start, or kind of an unfair advantage here. So my 6, Clair Obscur, and this, by the way, these would be my top 6 games. I'm gonna have a video that I believe will go up New Year's Day. If you want to yell at me and say rank them, I will rank them this Thursday, my top 20. So you want to get into the weeds? I got into the weeds with 20 of these things, but this is my top 6: Expedition, Mafia, Ghost, Sword of the Sea, Dispatch, Split Fiction. And the winner of the 3rd annual Podcast Now Game Awards is Clair Obscur. A little anticlimactic. It feels almost wrong. And what can you do, Sway? What can you do? Look, it really is what we've been saying all night. Like, this is a game that does deserve love. Like, it does deserve like attention, and you should talk about this. There's lessons to be learned here. It's got amazing music and visuals and characters and story and gameplay. It is truly the entire package. It almost just becomes too much when you just mention it for everything, right? And I think I was against that more than anybody at the Game Awards, and I was probably against it more than us two here. Because there's so many games that do deserve it. But I mean, look, you're crowning the game you truly believe is your favorite. And yeah, if I'm stacking this up, this is my favorite game of the year. This has been, I want to say my 4 have been like Plague Tale, forget 2023 off the top of my head. Oh, Alan Wake, Plague Tale Requiem, Alan Wake 2, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and this. Those are my last 4. This matches up so well. I think I also have to kind of take that perspective where it's like, if you're matching up your favorite games of the year, this deserves it. What a masterpiece. Just, I don't know, it almost feels sometimes like yesterday that I was playing it. I remember all the key moments. I remember just thinking, what the F am I playing? Like, are they really, like we've mentioned so many times, right? Like, can they really do this stuff with like a main character? Like, are they allowed? Are they breaking some spiritual rule? But yeah, it did everything so freaking well. Even the weakest elements of this game are still like highly above average things, elements to it. So yeah, although I'd like to make the effort for, I won't spoil it because I will have a top. You'll see what my top 5 are. The other games definitely deserve it. What a stacked freaking year. And I really believe the stack goes to like 10, 12, 15 games. You can make a lot of games on this list. Do you remember what yours was last year? Mine was Final Fantasy. Do you remember yours?
I felt like mine was Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. Yeah, no, it was because I put the sizzle reel together. Yeah. You're right. That's a great one. What a great year. Sway, is there anything you want to say before we get the heck out of here?
Thank everybody for being here, man. Like, the comments have been wonderful looking at. I even seen a Gotham Knights shout out of some sort. It wasn't the most kindest, but it was there.
I didn't know if they were kidding with that comment or not.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I was just shocked to see Gotham Knights in the chat in 2025. I was like, I'm just not this week.
Yeah, that wouldn't have won my 2022 one, by the way, if you're still watching. It was
No, not me either. But oh man, like it's been fun reading the chat all night. It's been fun interacting with you. Honestly, that spot with the guest, brilliant. The production of this whole show has been brilliant. And I've seen it in the chat all night long. And I, again, want to be probably the 10th, 15th, 100th person to say this has been an amazingly produced show. From the sizzle reels, everything came off epic. Everything felt like an award show. And I appreciate it more than anything. We got to talk about each of these games that were nominated. I felt like discussing why these games were nominated over just the winners was the most fun part about it.
You know, we didn't do an esports category. What's wrong with us? I know people are probably expecting.
Everybody has an esports category now.
That's right. That's right. And I despise it more than anyone on planet Earth. No, no, I appreciate that. And thank you guys so much for watching live. Thank you guys for watching, in video format after. I do this, to be honest with you. Part of the reason I do this is to prove to myself that I'm capable of this stuff. And the trailer in the beginning took several hours. That was not easy, but I really do like to kind of push myself and try to put on and try to beat, this was a tough one. I don't know how I'm going to beat it next year, but I'll actually tell Sway because I have some ideas of how we can beat this next year. So honestly appreciate all you guys watching so much. Again, all the guests, thank you. Sway's got Twitter and is around as well. Make sure, of course, I think everybody very much likes you, Sway. So I always kind of just forget to mention they could follow you. The other guests, the guests that were in the guest spot, make sure you guys support them. All a wide variety of creators, all great guys, and brought some added variety to the show. On top of us two, I think, being pretty good, like opposing kind of things as well. So there you go. 3rd annual Podcast Now Game Awards show is over. We will see you. I'm not Jeff Keighley. I don't have the date. He always has the date for the next one. I don't have the date. It'll be next year around Christmas time. Okay. But not on Christmas. Thank you guys for being here. And I hope to see you all on the next one.